Started streaming. What's up, everyone? Man, I haven't done a live stream here in front of the whiteboard in about 6 months or so. I kind of thought, okay, I've done a lot of whiteboards. I'm going to take a break, and there's probably like a couple, I don't know, 100 and something, 200,000 new people since I last did one of these presentations, maybe 300,000 new people. So welcome to all you new subscribers and people following the channel. I'm going to bring out, because I'm going to talk about a simpler way. I've thought a lot about this lately, about a simpler way to teach theory, because I always talk about things that you don't necessarily use in the basic music theory analysis that you need to know. This is stuff that you really need to know. I'm not going to talk about augmented or diminished chords, maybe just for a second, but I have a sale for today, which really this is all connected with, and it's my Beato book bundle that the last time we sold it was about 5 months ago for Black Friday back in November. If you go to beatobundle.com, all of my educational products, my Beato book bundle, my ear training program, my I'll just tell you what each has. The Beato ear training has 80 video lessons, hundreds of interactive training modules that you can use to practice in your browser, and a 27-page booklet. I never tell people this stuff here. This is what's in them. The Beato book 4.0 is a 500-page music theory book, which I wrote 20 years ago, but I've revised 4 times. The PDF, the bundle is actually 700 pages, right? Then there's a Quick Lessons Pro Guitar course, which is a 5-hour video course where I break down my quick lessons that I do on Instagram, and now I'm putting on shorts. So if you go to my shorts that I've done, some of these are actually on there. I haven't put out that many shorts, but some of the quick lessons are in there. If I say quick lessons, you hear that. 5 hours of video content, MIDI notation, or musical notation, guitar and tab, PDFs, and guitar profiles for those. And then 90 transcription PDFs that go with that too. So these are part of the Beato book bundle too, these 90 PDFs. So there's 4 separate things that are part of this bundle. It's for $99, which is the best discount that you'll get. So if you're on the fence about getting something, this is the time to get it. That's my ad for the live stream here. Now, so I was thinking about this. What is really the easiest way to teach people about music theory without starting with a circle of fifths? Because you guys know I always start with a circle of fifths. So I thought, how do you teach just basic major and minor chords to start? We're going to talk about those, about inversions and things like that. And I thought, okay, what are the 3 chords, major triads that have no sharps or flats? Well, they happen to be the ones from the key of C. That's C major, F major, and G major, right? They have 0 sharps or flats. C major is the notes C, E, G. F major are the notes F, A, C. See, no sharps or flats. And then G major is G, B, D. Okay? These are all white notes here. So you get C major, right? You've got F major, and you have G major. You notice they are 3-note chords, all white notes. Then it's like, okay, well, what are the chords that have 1 sharp? Well, anybody know? Okay, it takes way too long to do this. If I said, does anyone know? D major, A major, E major. These each have 1 sharp. D major has the notes D, F sharp, A major, A, C sharp, E, and E major has E, G sharp, B. What do you notice about these? The sharp note is in the middle of the chord. It's the 3rd of each of these chords, right? So here's D major. Billy, everybody can hear everything? D major, D, F sharp, A major, A, C sharp, E, and E major is E, G sharp, B. Okay? So those all have 1 sharp. Well, are there chords with 2 sharps? Yes, B major. That triad has, so this is 0 sharps or flats. This is 1 sharp. And B major has the notes B, D sharp, F sharp. Okay? This one has 2 sharps. All right? B major would be this. Here's the 2 sharps, right? D sharp and F sharp. Okay, I think this is actually pretty easy to memorize, to be honest with you, if you think about this, right? C, F, G, D, A, E, B. And then we have F sharp major. That has 3 sharps. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. So it's going to be all black keys, right? So that's 3 sharps. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, right there. You guys can see that, right? So you have your 3 chords with no sharps or flats, or all white notes. Then you have your 3 chords that have only 1 sharp, which is in the middle of the chord. So it'd be D, A, E. Then you have your chord that has 2 sharps, B major, and chord with 3 sharps, F sharp major. Okay, let's talk about chords with flats. So there's B flat major. This has 2 flats. So B flat, I'm sorry, this is 1 flat. B flat, D, F. Okay, so this is 1 flat. We only have 1 chord that has 1 flat in it. Okay, so then we go to E flat, A flat, D flat. Each of these have 2 flats. Okay, it's kind of like this, right? If you look at it, it's actually the same letters, right? You get D, A, E, flat. You have D, A, E, just in reverse. So it's easy to remember. Okay, so this one is E flat, G, B flat. What do you notice here? On this one, the natural is in the middle, right, instead of the sharp. And the A flat is A flat, C, E flat. Once again, the white note's in the middle, natural note. And then D flat major is D flat, F, A flat. Same thing. Natural note is in the middle. Okay? Then it's like, okay, well, what else do we have here? Do we have, is there any other ones? Well, you could say, let me put this in here. That's 1 flat. This is 2 flats. And then there is one with 3 flats, G flat, which is the same as F sharp. Okay, so it has just enharmonically different. G flat, B flat, D flat. That has 3 flats. Okay, so that would be this. Same as F sharp major. They just have different names. Instead of F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, you have G flat, B flat, D flat. These are enharmonically the same. Now somebody that's playing a different instrument other than piano will say, no, they sound different. G flat's lower than F sharp. Well, that may be the case, but on the piano right now, that's not the case. Okay, so these are how you memorize your major triads. You memorize them in groups. You just write them down. C, F, G, boom. D, A, E, boom. B, F sharp, okay? And you just memorize what these sharps and flats are. Once you know the notes that are in these chords, to get to the minor chords, it's very simple, okay? All you do to make these chords minor, any of these chords, every one of these chords, right, is you lower the middle note by a half step, okay? So C minor would be this, E flat, C minor. F minor, make that an A flat, G minor, put the B to a B flat, that's G minor. The minus means minor, okay? I'll show you. So here's C major. If I lower the middle note a half step to E flat, that's C minor. Here's F major. I'm going to lower the middle note to A flat, that's F minor, and then G major, G minor, lower the middle note. Same thing here. Except when you have a sharp, you just remove the sharp, make it a natural. So these are now going to be all minor. Okay, so it's going to be D minor, A minor, E minor. This one, B minor, is going to be with just a D. And F sharp minor, the A sharp goes to A. Same thing goes with the flats. So to make these minor, D flat goes to D goes to D flat. Here's B flat major, B flat minor, major, minor. Okay? Same thing here with these. G flat, C flat, F flat. And those give you the minor chords of those, right? Same thing with this, but we're not going to talk about G flat. We don't need to know about G flat. It makes it too confusing, okay? These are how you memorize all the major and minor chords. Seems pretty simple, right? It's just a little memorization. It's actually easier than learning the circle of fifths. But if you get my Beato bundle here with my ear training course, with my Beato book, with my Quick Lessons Pro guitar course, and with my PDF bundle, for the price of less than my ear training course, if you're going to do it now, this is the time to do it. This will teach you all of this stuff, plus way more, okay? But it'll teach you how to memorize this stuff, okay? Now, I want to talk about inversions, because if you're going to figure out songs by ear, first of all, you have to be able to hear whether a chord is major or minor, and that takes some ear training, okay? That's C major. This is G minor. F major. Then C major. Oh, what is this? It's called an inversion. I have E, G, C. That is a first inversion C major chord. So inversions work like this. I love inversions. Inversions make your voice leading and make music way more interesting. Inversions are one of the most important things to be able to hear and understand, okay? If you have a C major chord, in root position, C, E, G. In first inversion, which would be C over E, meaning C with an E in the bass, then it's E, G, C, or it could be E, C, G as well, right? These actually don't have, root position just means that it's, that the things are consecutive like that. And this is the best way to practice hearing inversions, right? Is to do them this way. Next way is C with a G in the bass. So that would be G, C, E, okay? Easier to actually see it on the keyboard. Root position, C, E, G. Now if I take the C note, move it up the octave, start with the middle note, the third, C, G, E, G, C. That is a first inversion major chord, and then G, C, E is a second inversion. And those keep repeating, right? Doesn't matter what order you play them in. They all are C major. Any order that I play those notes in, right? If C is in the bass, it's a root position chord. I have C down here, right? Even if I move, doesn't matter if I'm playing inversions in the right hand, as long as I have C in the bass, it's in root position. But if I moved E in the bass, first inversion, if I put G in the bass, then it's a second inversion major chord, okay? Same thing goes with minor chords. You do the same thing. If I make this a minor, what do I do? I make this E flat, move it down, becomes C minor. Same thing here, though. I got to make this E flat, so it's going to be C over E flat, and then C minor over E flat, and this is C minor over G. So I take this E flat and do this, right? So here it is. Root position, C, E flat, G, then E flat, G, C, first inversion, and then G, C, E flat. Why are inversions good? Inversions are good if you have songs like I was going to play a song that would demonetize me, and I kind of stopped myself from playing it. So this is C major, G in first inversion, G with a B in the bass, root position, B flat major, then F major in first inversion. Then I could go down to A flat. Then I could go down to G minor, then C. Okay, I actually played G minor 7 there. So those inversions are really cool because instead of, I could go C, then down to G, like that. My bass motion going like that, but it's, if I go, you notice the bass line is going, it just gives it a more interesting sound. Inversions make your music more interesting, okay? And you want to be able to hear those things. This is why in my ear training course, I have a whole thing on inversions. You got to be able to recognize all types of triads, including diminished and augmented. You have to be able to recognize all of their inversions, but you also have to recognize other chords, diminished and augmented chords, and suspended chords. Suspended chords are really common in pop music. They're in every song from the Beatles to any contemporary thing like Charlie Puth. It doesn't matter. Everybody uses suspended chords, right? Sus chords, as we call them. So if I take a C sus 4 or C sus 2, C sus 4 is you take the middle note. So here would be a regular C major. So 1, 3, 5. And you make that middle note the fourth note of the scale. C, F, G. So it's 1, 4, 5, right? Of the chord. So here's C, E, G, a C major. This is C sus 4. It's called a suspended 4 because it, in classical music, wants to resolve down. The sus 2 is you take the middle note. So C, E, G. Here's a C major triad. Take that middle note, move it down to the next scale degree, which is D. And you have 1, 2, 5. That's a sus 2. So here's C major, and I move the middle note down a step to the next scale degree down, which is the note D. So that's C sus 2. Now, obviously, these have inversions, right? Those have inversions. Well, one of the inversions of C sus 2 is actually G sus 4. They're related. That's G sus 4, G major, G minor. Okay, these sus chords are very important to know because they're really common in music that you would be learning, okay? The next thing to do to understand are seventh chords, okay? So seventh chords, if you take a C triad, C major, if I add, so I've got 1, 3, 5. These notes refer to the notes of the major scale. 1, 3, 5. Right? So the first note of the scale, third note of the scale, fifth note of the major scale. This is a C major scale I'm playing. Whoops. That's a C major scale, all white notes. Take the first note of the scale, third note, fifth note. Okay? Now if I put a seventh on there, that's called a major seventh. That's C major 7. That would be the note B. Okay? This equals C major 7. You'll hear that in pop music. Not as much as you would in the 70s, but you hear it in pop music. And then you have, if I flat the seventh, this note, make it flat. This is a C7 chord. Like you hear in blues and things. You hear it in rock. You hear it in Beatles songs. You hear it in Motown. You hear it in everything. C7, right? So this is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So 1, 3, 5, major 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7. That's a C7 chord, right? Right? That would be used in, let's say, in the key of F, a 5-1 cadence. Be your dominant chord, okay? Now, if I keep the flat 7, and there's other variations here. If I make these minor, then you get, if I take this and I flat the third, and go like this, This would be C minor major 7. And if I flat this would be C minor 7. Okay, so here's C major 7. This is C minor major 7. You'll actually hear that in songs like Stairway to Heaven. It has minor major 7th chords in it, or tons of songs. Something by the Beatles. Very common in the 60s and 70s. Here's C7. I'm going to flat the 3rd, C minor 7. Really common. You hear minor 7 chords in all these songs. The Dua Lipa song that I talked about this week that is very similar to this other song has 3 minor 7th chords in it. B minor 7, right? B minor 7, what was it, Billy? F sharp minor 7 and E minor 7. So the song progression is 3 minor 7th chords, right? So B minor 7, F sharp minor 7, and E minor 7. Okay, so really common. You hear it all the time in pop music. Songs that are on the radio or on Spotify at the top of the charts or on Apple Music, top of the charts, whatever. Minor 7th chords are really, really common. There's another type of 7th chord that we can have. You can actually have suspended 7th chords, right? I'll give you an example. I taught the song Josie by Steely Dan in a video recently. And they use a lot of sus2 major 7ths. So let's say you have C sus2. So that would be C, D, G. So 1, 2, 5. And then with a major 7. I know this sounds really crazy. And this would be with a B. So that would be this. Here's C major 7. This is C major 7. I'm sorry, C major 7 sus2 or C sus2 major 7. I'd call it C major 7 sus2. But most people would call this, as I called it, these 3 notes are a G major chord. Right? So I would call that G, because this is G major in second inversion here. I would call that G over C. Easier to write it that way than to say C major 7 sus2. But that's what it is to the ear. Okay, if you're going to learn these songs. Beautiful sounds. Love that. Love that sound. If I had that's a G major 7 sus2, but I put an E in the bass. Gives you beautiful E minor 9 with the 11th. It's great. I mean, it's great if I were to play it over G, but it's really cool. I can actually play it over C, and it becomes C major 13 with a sharp 11. Great sound, right? You build a song off that just with that one chord voicing, right? Okay, you can also have sus4 major 7, C major 7. I'm going to call it C major 7 sus4. C, I'm going to do C major 7, but I'm going to make the sus4 there, F, G, B. So 1, 4, 5, set major 7. Here's your C sus4. So that would be, here's C major 7, C major 7 sus4, would that be that? That's really more in modern. You hear that more from people like me that would play that, or more jazz harmonies or something like that. You might hear that in Charlie Puth, though, or Jacob Collier, people like that. But that consonant structure, C major 7 sus4, you get C dominant 7 sus4. So it'd be 1, 4, 5 flat 7. You could have. You really do this with any of these suspended chords, right? You can have major 7 or flat 7 with a suspension, because you could have you could have C sus2 with a flat 7, right? C dominant 7 sus2. Same kind of thing. Now, why do you need to know these things? Because ultimately, if you can pick these things out, you can learn anything by ear, any song by ear. If you can recognize the chords, you can recognize the melodies and how the melodies are constructed. And this is through repetition. This is what my ear training course does, okay? It teaches you the interval relationships. If I go, da, now I don't need perfect pitch to know that I was going to play that note E. You can see it on the screen. And if I go, ba, and I go, da, I know what those notes are going to sound like before I play them because I know what the intervals are. C, E, G, B flat. God, I'm a bad singer. That would be a C7 chord. I recognize that. What I've developed and what you develop through using the ear training course and my Beato book, Learning Theory, is you develop a vocabulary, you've heard me say this before in here, of recognized sounds, right? And eventually, this vocabulary becomes huge. If I hear a sound like this, so I hear this, something like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's a dominant 13 flat 9 chord. I just know the sound of it. I may not know it's a G 13 flat 9, but I know it's a dominant 7 with a 13 and a flat 9. Right? I might say, oh, that's like E major over G 7. There's an E major chord in second inversion, right? So that's part of my vocabulary of recognized sounds. But in my vocabulary of recognized sounds, there are thousands of chords. Maybe not thousands. There's hundreds of chords because there's not that many different chords. But like when I was figuring out Josie, here it's weird. So I make this video on the Steely Dan song that I've been listening to for 46 years or whatever. I never figured the song out because the thing about music theory is that you just use it when you need it, right? Otherwise, I just enjoy music. I don't analyze music. I never figured that song out before I made the video. And when I made the video, I was like, I just needed to turn on my brain. And then I could hear those intervals of how the beginning worked, of where the voicings were, what order the notes were in. On the guitar, some of the voicings, like if it was, I'm trying to think what was one of the chords here. Oh, it would be like D over A. So it would be like, they have a lot of voicings like that. That's kind of what Larry Carlton would play on the guitar. This is more of a guitar voicing. This would be the 5th fret, the 2nd fret on the A string or on the D string. Then that would be the 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the G string, and 2nd fret on the B string. I'm trying to picture the chord in my brain, but it's like that, right? So that's how the chord sounds. When I listened to it, I was like, oh, that's a major 7 sus2 chord, or that's I could hear the root and the 5th of the chord, a major 2nd apart. I could hear this, or 4 in this register, right? But that never occurred to me when I was listening to the song for 46 years. It came out in 77. How many years is that? 45 years? 45 years. 45 years I listened to the song and I never figured it out. Right? So this stuff you should be able to turn on and off. I don't always analyze songs. I just analyze them when I have to teach them to you on here. But it's incredibly great practice, and being able to recognize interval relationships, right? Being able to recognize triads, being able to recognize 7th chords. All of these things are so important to becoming a great musician, to becoming an adequate musician even, right? This is why I'm selling my bundle. This is why I created these educational products. I created my Beato book back when I was teaching at Ithaca College because I needed a theory book that talked about things like suspended chords and suspended with major 7ths and suspended with dominant 7ths and Lydian triads, That'd be 1 sharp 4 5. I didn't even get into that yet, but these are things you will encounter in the book. 1 sharp 4 5. That's like a suspended chord, but with a suspended sharp 4. Right? 1 sharp 4 5. These are things that were never in books, so I wrote my own book that included all these things. And my ear training course includes these things. You don't find ear training courses that tell you that teach you how to hear Lydian triads or Phrygian triads. That would be a C Phrygian triad. And why are those things important? Because they're actually parts of other chords, right? This Lydian triad, if I put A in the bass, then you get like an A with the, you got minor, then you have the 6 and the flat 7. Great sound. Cool sound. C Lydian over G. Oh, C Lydian over E. It's like an Aeolian sound. You have the flat 6 there. You got the 9 and the 3rd with a root. Love those sounds. Beautiful sounds. Very moody sounds. And I can recognize them like that. Right? It just, I hear it. It's like, yeah. Ba, ba, ba. 1 sharp 4 5. As soon as I hear that, I recognize what the interval combinations are. I don't even have to think 1 sharp 4 5. I'm just like, oh, that's a Lydian triad. Why? Because it's part of my vocabulary of recognized sounds. That's why. So, if you want to learn all this stuff about music theory, check out my Beato bundle. Go to beatobundle.com. The sale's only going till midnight on Monday or Tuesday. It's only for 4 days. There's a countdown timer on it. You can get all of my products for 99 bucks, everything that I've ever made. And I only make music educational things. I don't do ad reads. I don't do anything. Anyways, this is how I support my channel. And you guys are amazing. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. And check out my latest videos. Tears for Fears, my Dua Lipa lawsuit video, my Al Di Meola interview, which is amazing. If you don't know Al, check it out. It's fascinating. Al is one of the greatest guitarists of all time. I got some other videos too. And watch me on shorts. Check out my shorts. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Take care. Bye.